Good evening. Who's having a good time? Who's having a good time? Who wants to continue having a good time tonight? Okay, so if you want to continue having a good time tonight, I suggest you raise your drinks, and lower your expectations. That was funny. Thank you. Because it's been 2 years since I've been up here, and for this very stage, almost exactly 2 years ago, it was January of 2020, and for the life of me, I can't imagine why it's taken so long to get back. But I thank you. I thank you all for coming out tonight. I thank you for supporting live entertainment in Jefferson City. I thank you for supporting our small businesses. And most importantly, I thank you for helping me establish an alibi for this very moment. If you'll check your watches, as you heard earlier, it's about 20 after 8. So if anybody asks, you saw me here, okay? Thank you. Okay, so like I said, it's been 2 years since the last time I did it. But the first time I ever did this was 3 years ago, again, right here, because I love the mission. And it was 3 years ago, and I did it in order to check off a bucket list, right? Everybody's got the bucket list. I checked off a bucket list thing. I wanted to do an open mic. And now I continue to do it because therapy is very, very expensive. And if, well, let's face it, there's a lot of twisted shit going on in this head. And if I don't spew it all over you folks, there's going to be some really upset nurses' aides in the nursing home in about 20 years spitting in my pudding. And I like pudding a lot of ways, but typically spit free, okay? So thank you again for doing that. You know, I mentioned the nursing home only because later this year, in October, I turned 60 years old, right? So 20 years to a nursing home, that's pretty good timing, right? So I'm trying to keep myself, I'm going on 60. I'm a grandfather with another one on the way. Thank you very much. My role in all of that took about a minute and a half, 32 years ago. But I still appreciate your support. I'm trying to stay healthier. I'm trying to stay fit and healthy. And everything I read about, being healthy and staying fit, there's two things that keep coming up: hydration and sleep. And so everywhere I look, it's drink 8 glasses of water every day. Sleep 8 hours every night. When you've got a nearly 60-year-old bladder, you know what you can't do after you've drank 8 glasses of water during the day? Yeah, get 8 hours of sleep at night. At least not uninterrupted. But I try. I try very hard. I try to find sources of good information on how to stay healthy. And I get an email every couple of days from the Harvard School of Medicine. Harvard Med, right? That's a pretty reliable source. And just last week I saw one that said, if you want to get good sleep, avoid drinking alcohol late at night, he said to a bar full of people at 8:30 on a Wednesday night. So some folks might think that that's kind of, cramping their style. But I'm an optimist. And what I heard when I read that was that I now have a doctor's excuse for day drinking. Fuck, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I'm thinking it's noon anywhere, and I've got a doctor's permission to do this now. I used to think I had a problem. Again, grandfather, trying to be a good example. He said as small children walk by, in addressing what I'm told is a profanity problem. Sorry, parents. So I'm trying to use profanity substitutes, right? We all know about profanity substitutes. Son of a biscuit or mother trucker, profanity substitutes. So the other night, I'm working on a project. I'm trying to redo some handrails at my house. You're all invited over. You'll see I didn't do a very good job. But I'm sawing on a piece of wood. not safely at all. I'm holding it in my hand on my lap with a handsaw, and I'm sawing, and half the time the wood's moving more than the saw is, but the saw jumps out of the kerf of the wood, the little cut in the wood, and takes a chunk out of my thumb, and I drop the saw, and I grab my thumb, and I say, "Son of a motherfucker!" And so, as you can tell, I got a grasp of the concept. It's just the execution I'm still working on when it comes to the profanity thing. So what have I told you so far? I'm a 60-year-old grandfather who's been happily married for 33 years. Yeah, thank you. In a row. To the same woman. So I'm a unicorn. Anyway, but 30 plus years of marriage, it's not just the easiest thing. You got to work at it. It's a continuous process. And my wife and I, we're expanding. We're trying to expand our comfort zones and try new and interesting things. So finally, we've taken the big leap, and we've decided we're going to try swapping. Oh. Yeah. So we think that might be the thing that we need to keep things interesting. So if there's any couples out there that are interested in doing a little swapping, hit us up after the show. Specifically, we're interested in swapping our Disney Plus password for your Paramount Plus password, but we're open-minded. We'll consider, HBO Max. But, we want to keep our options open there. HBO Max.
Sorry, Larry, I'm having a little technical difficulty.
Uh-oh, what happened? Are we back? Yeah, we're back.
Thank you.
So we do, again, 33 years of marriage. We watch a lot of TV together. I think a lot of married couples do. We find ourselves watching a lot of this HGTV renovation shows. A lot of people watch those, right? Chip and Joanna and Aaron and Ben, and we watch them all. We love them. It doesn't inspire me to do anything more around the house, but we like watching their shows. And I'm noticing that the hosts of these shows have stopped using the word master, as in master bedroom or master suite. The word has obviously some connotations that we're moving away from. So there's no more master bedroom, there's no more master suite. It's now the main bedroom and the main suite. So you can understand how embarrassed I was the other night when my wife caught me in the main bathroom, main baiting. There was a lot of ooh going on there. We watch a lot, probably more than we should. I'm sure a lot of you are that way. We watch more TV than we should. But there are some things that we just don't watch together. Right? Everybody has that. They have shows things they don't watch with their spouse. For me, it's interracial lesbian midget porn. And for her, it's the Golden Girls. So we have these things that we just don't watch together. God bless Betty White and all, but still. Yeah. We do a lot of things, and we've done a lot of things, and we try to expand, we try to different things, lifestyle changes. And a few years ago, we spent about 7 years as vegetarians. And the funny thing about when you're vegetarian is that people who aren't vegetarian, they think it's synonymous with being vegan and vegetarian, because neither eat meat. But that's about the difference, right? Vegetarians don't eat meat. Vegans don't eat meat. They won't eat anything that comes from animals. So no milk, no honey. They're kind of like the jihadists of the non-meat eating world. They also won't use products that come from animals, though. So no leather shoes, no wool sweaters, none of that sort of stuff. The best way to describe it would be that vegetarians won't eat meatloaf. Vegans won't even listen to his music. And so, there's a difference. There's a big difference. We do we do a lot of things together, my wife and I, a lot. I mean, we're together probably more than the average couple. But I do enjoy, I have to confess, time by myself. And so, every now and then when she goes on a girls' weekend with her sisters, I'm kind of like, Dobby has given Master has given Dobby a sock, Dobby is free! For Harry Potter folks. Sorry, I do a sucky Dobby. But let's just say, well, then Dobby proceeds to spend the rest of the weekend binge watching Letterkenny, but, that's Dobby's, fuck it, that's what Dobby wants to do, so Dobby does what he wants. But I think the important thing, honestly, 33, I'm going to give everybody marital advice because I've been married for 33 years, but it's important to kind of pick your battles, and when you have to, be accommodating. I feel like a good part of why we work out is I try to be accommodating as much as possible, right? So, but don't get me wrong, I will put my foot down hard, usually when there's something on the floor that she wants dead. But still, but she's accommodating as well. She will go the extra mile. In fact, she has no problem going the extra mile in our relationship. It's not the extra mile that's the issue. It's the extra inch and a half that my pillow is on her side of the bed. That is the issue. So, yeah. What else? So, I'm an open book for you folks tonight. Nearly 60-year-old happily married grandfather. I'm also a tree hugger. Not necessarily an environmentalist, just a guy with a real specific fetish. Yeah. But that's it. Let's not judge. There's a lot of weird stuff going on out there. And I don't know, for example, I don't know who's heard of the band Brass Against. Have you ever heard of these guys? Okay, you guys have heard of them, right? In November, they were doing a show. And partway through the show, about right in the middle of a song, or at the start of a song, the lead singer, a woman by the name of Sophia Urista, she announces she has to go to the bathroom. And I have to imagine the 10, 20, 30,000 people that are at this show are thinking she's going to duck off to the backstage while the band instrumentalizes for a while and then come back. But that's not what she said. She asked for a volunteer. And like this, faster than a Secret Service agent can jump in front of the president, this big burly bear of a man with a beard jumps up on stage, lies down. This one squats over his face, pulls down her spandex, and at first there's nothing. And then there's a trickle. And then, oh my God, it's the Great Flood. It's a fire hose. It's Niagara Falls all over this guy. And she doesn't miss a beat. She's singing the whole time. And it's incredible, really. This girl has no problem drinking 8 glasses of water a day. She should be the poster girl for good hydration, right? I mean, it was somewhere down in Gitmo. There are high-value detainees who've been waterboarded looking at that video going, damn. And I'm looking at that video going, damn, there's no way I could pee in front of 30,000 people. I've got an introvert's bladder inside of an extrovert's body. I can't even do it if there's a guy standing behind me at the urinal. So how she did it in front of 30,000 people, I'll never know. But I'm not going to judge. I'm not here to judge. If you want to pee all over some guy at a rock concert, you be you. You want to be peed on by a rock star? Probably not the first time. You do your thing. I'm not going to judge. But there are a couple of things I can't quite get my head around. And it's not really a couple of things. It's just one thing. Pain. I don't understand people who seek out experiencing pain or inflicting pain. I've spent my entire life avoiding pain, and so I don't get the whole pain thing. And there's these folks who I think there's just two places. There's two places that I just don't think pain should ever belong. Food and sex, right? Those are supposed to be nice things. They're not supposed to be painful things, but I know people who eat the habaneros and the ghost chilies, and they brag about they eat these things, and their foreheads break out and sweat, and their eyes bleed, and that sort of thing. I'm like, what is, I don't understand, but here's what I've come to believe. I think that hot and spicy foods are like a gateway drug to S&M. Right? I mean, if you want to be hurt while you're eating, you probably want to be hurt while you're doing the sex too. So yeah, it's inevitable, right? One day you're at Taco Bell and you accidentally pick up a packet of fire sauce and put it on your gordita. And one day you're doing that, the next day you're handcuffed to a bedpost with nipple clamps and a ball gag, being force-fed pudding with spit in it by some dominatrix. That's how it happens. I'm sure it is. So, well, yeah. Well, I know that. There's one other thing I've heard recently, and God knows I'm not on the cutting edge of sex. Trust me. I don't know all the latest, but I heard a radio show, and they were talking about pegging. And I don't know if anybody here is familiar with the concept, but oh my gosh, oh Mom, I'm so sorry back there. The headphones you had for the little one, you might want to put them on the other two right now. So apparently pegging, as I understand it, is a guy. Okay, what do we do? Are we moving children? Okay, a guy. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her. Okay, so pegging is when a guy gets fucked in the ass by a woman named Margaret. It's the best I can. It's the best I can put together from what I heard. I assume that's what it is. I may not be clear on all the details, but that's what I think it is. And so just now, I can assure you that having heard about a guy getting fucked in the ass by a woman named Margaret completely fell out of your mind when you heard me say that I assumed that it was right. Because somebody out there is saying, oh, you know what happens when you assume? Okay, this is the audience participation part, folks. What happens when you assume?
You make an ass out of you and me.
That's what they say. You make an ass of you and me. Bullshit. What happens when you assume is that sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong, and if you have half a brain and you're paying attention, you're probably right more than you're wrong, because the ability to assume, to make assumptions, is an evolutionary survival tool, right? So if I'm walking down an alley and out of the shadows comes a clown with a meat cleaver, I'm going to assume that I'm in danger, right? Now, if I'm wrong and he's just the local butcher on his way to the children's hospital to entertain the kids, I'll apologize later. But at first, I'm either going to fight or fly. The ability to assume is, again, this evolutionary survival tool that's been developed over thousands of years to help secure the future of our species, specifically keeping us from being killed by knife-wielding circus performers. Okay, so it's okay to assume. So right now, I'm going to assume that you've had enough of me. I'm going to thank you for this evening, and I'm going to ask you to please remember that from 8:15 to 8:30 this evening, you saw me right here. Thank you very much. Good night.
Hey, Usher. Thank you so much for making this a biannual and then